Take a close look at this cucumber trellis. From a distance, the picture looks absolutely perfect. The vines are climbing high, reaching for the sky with incredible vigor. The topmost leaves are a lush, vibrant green, and the plant seems to be bursting with life, heavily loaded with young, promising fruit. But as any seasoned gardener will tell you, the real story of a plant is never written only at the top. To truly understand what your garden is trying to tell you, you have to look closer, right down to the older mature leaves near the base of the stem. Most gardeners don't know this, but those older leaves are the plant's early warning system. When I examined this cucumber plant closely, I noticed a subtle but highly significant change. The areas of the leaves between the veins were starting to turn a pale, uneven light green, almost yellow, while the veins themselves remained a sharp, dark green. If you see this in your garden, do not ignore it. This is a classic botanical distress signal known as intervenal chlorosis. It is a clear sign that the plant's nutrient uptake is no longer optimal. At this specific stage of growth, when the vine is actively pushing out blossoms and trying to swell its fruits, its demand for essential minerals skyrockets. If the soil environment isn't perfectly balanced, the roots simply cannot keep up with the demand. What's happening inside the plant is fascinating. Because mobile nutrients like potassium and magnesium are in high demand at the growing tips and developing fruits, the plant will actually strip these minerals from its oldest leaves to feed its babies. It is a survival mechanism, but if left unaddressed, it will lead to premature leaf drop, stunted fruit, and a drastically shortened harvest season. Many people panic when they see this yellowing and immediately run to the garden center to buy expensive synthetic liquid fertilizers. They drench the soil, hoping for a quick fix. But here is where the real secret begins. Synthetic quick fixes often do more harm than good. They can overload the soil with salts, burn the delicate root hairs, and disrupt the natural microbial life that keeps your plants healthy over the long term. Instead of turning to chemicals, the most experienced gardeners rely on a simple, incredibly affordable, and completely natural ingredient that many people sweep up and throw away without a second thought. I am talking about natural wood ash. When used correctly, this humble byproduct of your fireplace or backyard fire pit is a goldmine of essential minerals, specifically potassium and calcium, which are the exact building blocks your cucumbers need right now to support stronger flowering and heavy fruit development. But you cannot simply dump wood ash around your plants and hope for the best. Wood ash is highly alkaline and chemically reactive. Applied incorrectly, it can shock your plants, lock up other nutrients in the soil, and damage the very roots you are trying to save. To make this natural miracle work, you have to understand the delicate relationship between the soil, the roots, and the biology that connects them. In this guide, we are going to dive deep into a time-tested, step-by-step method to prepare the soil, apply this natural amendment safely, and unlock the full genetic potential of your garden. Before we can introduce any new nutrients to the soil, we have to prepare the ground. This is the step many people skip because they are in a hurry to apply the fertilizer. However, applying nutrients to unprepared soil is like throwing money into the wind. If you look at the base of these cucumber plants, you will often find a carpet of opportunistic weeds and wild grasses starting to creep in. Weeds are incredibly aggressive competitors. They have highly efficient, expansive root systems that are designed to quickly suck up water and nutrients, leaving your cultivated vegetables starving. If we were to apply our nutrient-rich amendments directly over these weeds, we would simply be feeding the enemy, making them grow faster and stronger, which would further choke out our cucumbers. To prevent this, we must meticulously clear the area around the base of each plant. But when doing this, you must exercise extreme caution. Cucumber plants have a very unique root architecture. Unlike some deep taproot crops, cucumbers produce a dense, shallow mat of lateral roots that spread out just beneath the surface of the soil. If you grab a hoe or a weeding tool and start hacking away at the ground aggressively, you will slice through these vital feeding roots, causing severe transplant-like shock to the plant. Instead, use your hands to gently pull the weeds, shaking off any clinging soil back onto the bed. Work in a circular radius of about 12 inches around the main stem. This not only eliminates nutrient competition, but also loosens the very top crust of the soil, opening up microscopic pathways for air, water, and nutrients to penetrate deep into the root zone. Once the ground is clean and clear, we are ready to lay down our biological foundation. We do this using well-composted manure. Why manure? Because wood ash, as powerful as it is, lacks organic matter and nitrogen, and its high alkalinity needs a stabilizing agent. Composted manure acts as the ultimate biological buffer. It is rich in humic acids, beneficial microorganisms, and organic carbon, which work together to improve the physical structure of your soil, turning tight clay or loose sand into a rich, spongy loam that retains moisture beautifully. But here is a critical warning that every gardener must memorize. You must only use fully 100% composted manure. Raw or partially composted manure is incredibly dangerous for your garden. It contains high levels of raw ammonia that will instantly volatilize and burn your plant's roots and foliage. It can also harbor harmful pathogens and weed seeds that will ruin your garden beds. To know if your manure is safe and ready, use your senses. It should have a deep, dark, almost black color, resembling rich forest soil. It should be light, crumbly, and completely free of any strong, unpleasant odors. Instead, it should smell sweet and earthy. Finally, it should be completely cool to the touch. If you stick your hand into the pile and feel warmth, the decomposition process is still active, and it is not yet safe to put near your plants. When applying this beautiful, dark, composted manure, we do not just pile it up against the stem. Doing so would create a moist environment right against the bark of the vine, inviting fungal diseases like damping off or stem rot to take hold. Instead, we spread a generous ring of manure around the plant, keeping it about 4 to 6 inches away from the main stem. This distance is carefully calculated. It places the rich organic nutrients directly over the active lateral root zone, the area where the root hairs are actively searching for food, while keeping the main stem dry and safe. This ring of organic matter acts like a slow-release reservoir of nutrition, ready to feed the soil food web. Now that our biological buffer of composted manure is in place, we can introduce our star ingredient, natural wood ash. What happened next when I first combined these two elements years ago completely surprised me, as the synergy between them is where the true science of organic gardening shines. Wood ash is essentially the concentrated mineral remains of trees. When wood burns, the organic carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen escape as gases, leaving behind a highly concentrated powder of inorganic minerals. The primary component of wood ash is calcium carbonate, which makes up about 25 to 45% of its volume. Calcium is the element responsible for building strong, rigid cell walls in plants. Without adequate calcium, plants cannot transport water efficiently, and their cell structures collapse, which often manifests as blossom end rot or hollow, tasteless cucumbers. The second major component of wood ash is potassium, often referred to as potash, which typically makes up about 5 to 10% of the ash. Potassium is the ultimate regulator in the plant world. It controls the opening and closing of the stomata, the microscopic pores on the leaves that allow the plant to breathe and transpire water. It also drives the synthesis of sugars and starches, sending energy directly to the blossoms to ensure high pollination success and plump, heavy fruit development. But because wood ash is so concentrated, a little goes an incredibly long way. The golden rule of using wood ash is moderation. For each cucumber plant, we want to evenly spread about 20 to 30 grams of ash. If you do not have a garden scale, do not worry. This is equivalent to about 2 heaping tablespoons. Gently sprinkle this fine gray powder directly over the ring of composted manure we just laid down. Do not dump it in one concentrated pile. By scattering it thinly over the manure, we prevent the ash from clumping together into a cement-like paste when it gets wet. The organic acids in the composted manure will immediately begin to interact with the alkaline compounds in the ash, neutralizing any potential pH spikes and making the potassium and calcium highly bioavailable to the plant roots. At this point, we have our layers: the cleared garden soil, the ring of composted manure, and the delicate dusting of wood ash. But if we leave these materials sitting exposed on the surface, they are vulnerable. Wind can blow the valuable ash away, and heavy rains can wash the nutrients off the bed before they have a chance to sink in. We need to integrate them into the soil. To do this, take a small hand fork or a gentle cultivating tool. Very gently, loosen the top layer of soil to a depth of about 3 to 5 centimeters, which is roughly 1 to 2 inches. Your goal here is not to till, dig, or turn the soil over. Instead, you want to use a light, tickling motion to blend the wood ash, the organic manure, and the very surface of the garden soil together into a harmonious mix. This is the step many people skip because they don't realize how delicate cucumber roots are. If you dig too deeply, even just a few inches, you will hear the faint, heartbreaking sound of tiny roots snapping. By keeping your cultivation strictly to the top 2 inches, you protect the existing root system while creating a highly aerated, nutrient-dense top layer that will encourage new feeder roots to grow upward and drink in the nutrition. With the nutrients perfectly blended into the topsoil, we must immediately take the final crucial step to activate the entire system: deep, thorough watering. Water is the universal solvent and the lifeblood of this entire process. Without water, those beautiful minerals in the wood ash and manure are locked in place, completely useless to the plant. When you apply water to this freshly amended zone, a beautiful chemical and biological reaction begins. Water dissolves the highly soluble potassium compounds in the wood ash, carrying them down through the soil pores via capillary action directly to the waiting root hairs. At the same time, the moisture hydrates the dry, composted manure, waking up billions of dormant beneficial bacteria and mycorrhizal fungi. These microscopic allies immediately go to work, breaking down the organic matter and converting it into plant-available nitrogen, phosphorus, and trace minerals. Furthermore, the water helps to stabilize the pH of the wood ash, ensuring that the root zone remains a comfortable, nurturing environment. When watering, do not use a harsh, high-pressure blast from a hose, which would wash away our carefully placed amendments and expose the shallow roots. Instead, use a watering can with a rose attachment or a gentle shower setting on your hose nozzle. Water slowly, allowing the liquid to sink deep into the ground rather than running off the sides of the hill. Keep watering until the entire zone is thoroughly saturated but not waterlogged. Now, let's talk about what you can expect in the days and weeks following this treatment. The results became visible just days later, and the transformation is nothing short of magical. Within 48 to 72 hours, you will notice that the pale, washed-out areas between the veins of the older leaves begin to darken. The plant is successfully absorbing the potassium and magnesium, restoring its chlorophyll production and supercharging its photosynthetic capacity. By day 7, the entire vine will take on a deeper, healthier, and more uniform forest green color. You will see a sudden surge of new, vigorous growth at the vine tips, with thick, sturdy stems replacing the thin, spindly runners. But the most exciting change will be at the nodes. You will notice an explosion of bright yellow blossoms, particularly female flowers, the ones with the tiny miniature cucumbers at their base. Because of the calcium and potassium boost, these flowers will be incredibly strong, highly attractive to pollinators, and far less likely to drop off the vine prematurely. As the weeks progress, the young fruits will swell rapidly, growing straight, crisp, and incredibly juicy, without the tapered, misshapen ends that are so common in potassium-deficient plants. However, as you embark on this journey, keep these vital safety rules in mind. First, always ensure you are using pure, natural wood ash. Never use ash from chemically treated wood, painted wood, pressure-treated lumber, or charcoal briquettes, as these contain toxic chemicals, heavy metals, and binders that will poison your soil and your food. Second, do not overuse wood ash. Because it acts like agricultural lime, applying too much of it over time can raise your soil pH to highly alkaline levels, which will actually lock out iron and other essential micronutrients. Treat wood ash as a potent medicine. Apply it only once or twice a season. Monitor your plant's responses and let nature do the rest. There is something deeply satisfying about using simple, natural, and virtually free materials to cultivate a bountiful, thriving garden. It connects us to the age-old wisdom of the gardeners who came before us, who understood that the best solutions are often found right in our own homes. If you want to unlock the secrets to growing the most vibrant, productive garden of your life using simple, sustainable methods, make sure to show your support. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your fellow gardeners. Leave a comment below telling me if you have ever used wood ash in your garden, or share the unique tricks you use to keep your cucumbers thriving. Thank you for watching, and happy gardening.